Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Eric Rosen here at Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology, the daily horoscope show that gives you your daily dose of astrology, but in some simple, basic to understand form. You know, big hand, little hand style, clock time. It was overwhelming at first when we were in grade school, but that's how we learn. The teacher is like, the big hand goes here, the little hand goes here. I'm going to kind of be your teacher like that with astrology. I'm giving a daily horoscope and also going to slow it down to break it down into some more simple, basic to understand terms. And so this is for Thursday, November 21st, 2019. So first thing I want to call attention to is the sun. Okay, in astrology, we're following what the sun is doing, right? The sun goes through 4 different seasons. We're in the middle, really past the middle of the fall season now, because when we come into Libra season, that's when we enter into the fall. Virgo is the end of summer. We're about at the end of the Scorpio portion, so we're going to enter into this last leg very soon in Sagittarius in the fall. So what is the sun dealing with when it's in Scorpio? Well, the sun is the brightest, celestial body there is, right? The sun is the great life force energy. It shines its light on everything that it touches. It brings warmth to everything. And so this is bringing light to even the deepest crevices of the deepest emotions that we have, because when you're dealing with Scorpio, you're dealing with deep emotions, you're dealing with the hidden, but it can be kind of scary sometimes because it kind of can bring up some quote unquote demons, unconscious parts of ourselves, but there's treasure in that, there's knowledge in that information, there's power in that information. And so although it may be hard to face the truth, it actually is very empowering. And so if we're willing to be accepting of it, because the thing is that Mercury, the planet that rules thought, that rules thinking, communication, is a neutral planet. It's a messenger. It's like, don't shoot the messenger. And so when we get the truth, it's like Mercury's not saying, hey, this is good news, this is bad news, this is good truth, this is bad truth. This is just absolute truth. This is absolute truth to us, to our true desire. What is it that we really want to go after in life? And so we've been taking a really hard look at that this whole Scorpio season, because for the past 3+ weeks up until yesterday, Mercury was in its retrograde, which basically just means that it's kind of like a different perspective. We're really looking within as opposed to looking outside of ourselves. Communication, what we're used to is communication is like this between people, between our phones. We live in the information age, and so it's about going and getting information out here and seeing how we can use it to pursue our own happiness. But when Mercury goes retrograde, we're really looking within, and when it's in Scorpio, we're really looking deep within for truth. And so we've got to get into those nooks and crannies of those dark hidden areas. So at this point, with Mercury now no longer in its retrograde motion, and it's going to start moving forward again, and so forward, and our clock is going counterclockwise. Now it's got to cover that territory where we were looking within and learning all those lessons. So this is an integration period. What did you learn over the past 3+ weeks? What is the truth? What are the answers, the truth bombs that you got that hopefully you were willing to see, but now a willingness to also integrate it? And with Mars here, the planet that rules taking action and saying, okay, let's use some force to deliver this truth home. It's like, let's really pound it in there. Sometimes we can avoid integrating the truth with Mercury, but there's this real edginess to wanting to push things forward. And so, staying in this neutral place of, okay, I got the truth, I understand what it is always going to be the best place to be with anything that goes on with our minds. Because when we start trying to control things, when we start trying to say, this doesn't look the way that I want it to, it should look like this, that's when we can't let any of the bigger picture of astrology come in, and bigger universal picture for this more divine force, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, to come in and support us. When we try to do it alone is when we get stuck in our minds trying to control things. And so the first thing that I want to mention with the big hand, little hand aspect, this is where I draw the hands of the clock to show what are some of the interactions going on between planets and bodies, okay, in the solar system. And so these are those encounters, these are those places where we start interacting with things. And so I'm going to explain that as we go through this, but there's this one with the sun and Chiron, which is retrograde. And so Chiron deals with deep wounds, sensitivities, things that we never really fully get over, and we're feeling it really internally with the retrograde. And when it's in Aries, this is really dealing with our ego, the things that we just don't like the way that they look. We wish that it would look differently, but this is our ego perception, okay? This is not saying things are wrong and that divine timing is off. We can surrender with Neptune and Pisces. That's where we surrender to how things are looking, because the more we try to grip and control and say, this just doesn't look the way I want it to, I don't have enough money, I don't have the right relationships, I don't have the right self-worth, I don't look good. It's like, listen, there's a way bigger picture going on here. Let's not get hung up on how things look right now, because ultimately the big thing with our minds is that it's really our thoughts that are creating our perspective of what's going on. And so if we take on the perspective of this doesn't look right, this is completely screwed up, now we're trying to control the situation. Now we're just going to keep creating more of the same level of suffering that we've been doing. So when the sun is making this 120 degree, so peaceful understanding between Chiron, we're at the maximum emotional depths, okay, right, of the truth. Like we can't get any further looking at the truth. Like those maximum depths of like, okay, the deepest, darkest crevices of our emotions, the things that we normally aren't looking at. The sun is shining and all that, bringing light to it, letting us see it, especially with Mercury here, looking at it. And so there is this like peace though with our sensitivity of how things look. And so this can be kind of this like reference point of where we can like let go, because the thing is that Chiron in Aries, this isn't something that's going away anytime soon, folks. And so we're going to keep having to deal with these sensitivities of the way that things look. But if we can see the truth of how things really are, and this peaceful understanding of like, this isn't going away, this can be one of those things where we really learn this deep lesson that the fact is that things may not show up the way that we want them to, but if you're willing to see the truth, then it's like, it's okay. This isn't where we take care of things here. And so the next thing that I want to show is Chiron again, because this is, Aries is a sign that deals with the ego, it deals with the mind in a way. It is kind of like a headstrong energy of like how things should be fixed, how they should look. But there's this real misunderstanding that we built into with Mars, which is the planet that actually rules Aries. It likes to be there, but it's a misunderstanding. This is a 150 degree angle misunderstanding. And so we're wanting to take action in some way, go after some type of passion, some type of true desire, hopefully in alignment with the truth and not some type of just like ego, like thirst and want, of just pursuing like some type of taboo thing that's actually not good for us. But we're feeling emotionally drained, number one. I mean, I think the sun getting down to the depths of those deepest waters in our emotions, we're kind of drained, especially with all this territory that Mercury has covered, looking at all this stuff. There's emotional drain going on, but it's like, can we accept this sensitivity, which with that 120 degrees going on between the sun and Chiron, it's like we can accept it, but then it's like, okay, I accept it, but now what? Because there's this misunderstanding of how to move forward. Mars wants to take action. So, and then when you have the moon in Virgo, it's like trying to figure things out. How can I change my reality? How can I change my day-to-day life to feel better? It's like, all we can really do is like go back and apply this truth that we learned. We learned a lot. And so it's like taking action from that. we probably cannot see how things are going to get better. That's the big thing about this. It's like, okay, I got this truth, I want to take action, but how the heck is this going to help me feel better because I got this wounded sensitivity? So it's really just, applying the truth, what you do understand, what you did learn, and what you don't understand, how it's not going, you don't know how it's going to work out, but it's like, we just got to be able to like let go of this misunderstanding and go and apply our truth anyway. Because this is where lost time comes in. It's like, yeah, this 150 degrees eventually is going to pass, but that's time lost, like waiting around for us not to feel our sensitivity. And so I think there is an acknowledgement of the sensitivity, acknowledging that the sensitivity doesn't really go away, that we want things to change, but it's like, you know what, I just have to put my faith into what I learned. Like when the Mercury and Sun met up, like that's where we got the truest message, and there's a lot of faith that comes with that about the application now. So there's this other one between Mercury and really Venus and Jupiter, so I'm just going to draw them both. And this is not an angle I've talked about before. This is going to be a new one. This is a 45-degree angle, so a little bit of new material today. Think of this as like the same thing as a 90-degree angle, challenging growth, but it's not as intense, maybe like half the intensity. And so there is a challenge here. There is an opportunity for growth. It's not major, but it's kind of like, okay, thinking about how do I take these great projects and people, the partnerships, go on the experience with them. Okay, Jupiter in Sagittarius is the experience. And especially, how do I do this when I'm emotionally drained and feeling sensitive? There's like a defeat here. There's a defeated aspect going on with Mercury making that 150 degrees to Chiron, Mars and Chiron. Like with everything going on, it's like I'm exhausted. I feel mentally defeated. I'm emotionally exhausted. Now I've got to try to figure out how, because I can see there's all these great things going on, but it's almost like not feeling up to the task. And so how do we do that? And I think the answer, and this is the last thing I'll cover for the day, is that between Neptune and Mercury, planet that deals with spirituality, it deals with compassion, it deals with surrender, is making this nice, that was a terrible line, but 120 degrees, so peaceful understanding. This is between our minds and the spiritual component of, like there is this invisible divine force that's going on in our lives where we can surrender to that. We don't have to figure everything out in our minds. In fact, we sabotage ourselves when we do try to figure things out only in the mind. There is this element of like letting go and kind of letting God take over. It's surrender, and it's surrendering to the truth that we learn. Like there are no more answers coming, so it's like no more delays. Like push forward. Like the sensitivities aren't going away. There's no more new information coming. Just apply what you learned over the past 3 weeks. So really that's it, guys, for today. I think all in all, it's about this understanding that, we got a lot revealed to us. And so now it's up to us whether we want to suppress that or maybe continue to suppress it for those that like we're just refusing to look at anything that's come up during Mercury retrograde. But taking this and applying it, and then just watching how you can take what you learn and apply it to your life, and then just trust in God that things will move forward, that things will get better. Maybe there's always going to be that ego sensitivity, but this is the ego. This is like, I want it to look this way, but it's like, I know what's in your highest good. Like these other planets going on, they know. So let go, let God take over, integrate the truth, and just move forward. So that's it for today, guys. That's for Thursday, November 21st, 2018. Appreciate you guys stopping by. First ever astrology class that I'm teaching. I'm actually going to teach astrology, not a horoscope, but actually teaching classroom workshop style. Is going to be Tuesday, November 26th from 6:30 to 8:30 at Limelight Events in St. Charles. You can get your tickets on my business page, Astrologer Eric Rosen. Tickets go for $25 ahead of time, $30 at the door. Hope to see some people there learning astrology If you can't make it, I will be filming it and you can purchase the videos. So thanks so much for stopping by, guys, and I hope you have a great and wonderful Thursday. Take care.